Hi everybody, welcome to
Stalking the Wild Auto Harp
with Hal and
Harpin Mel.
Hey. We are here at Daigle Auto Harps and we're having some fun putting some videos together, and I'm having fun showcasing Mel on my channel. Mel was originally, you can find this interview, I interviewed her on Stalking the Wild Auto Harp. We talked for about an hour and a half or something. We did that like 3-4 years ago, and she ended up coming up here to the shop for a summer, and then she came back, and now she's back again, and she's been working here this summer, and we're having a good time, and she is an amazing amount of help, not just with things around the shop, working on harps and stuff, but social media and computers and everything like this. And so she has been she's been kicking butt around here, just trying to keep up with her is amazing. Today we're going to talk about
12 bars and 15 bars and Model Bs and Model Cs and what that means and what we can do to them to make them better.
Right, exactly, what we can do to them to make them better, because I've always talked about 21 bar harps. You know that I like chromatics, but a lot of folks have 15 bar harps and they have special needs, and they've got their own rattling issues. Yeah, like that.
The clackies.
The clackies. How do you fix the clackies? And do you know how you fix the clackies?
I do know how you fix the clackies. You add a little piece of felt to the end of the cord bars, and that softens them up so they're not hitting quite so hard on the top. And I believe we've done that on this particular harp over here.
The idea is to lower the action, and also when that cord bar comes back up, it goes bang, 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 bang against the inside of the lid. And so I'm going to move the camera in a minute and show you that. The idea, though, is, and we can zoom this on screen, the distance that the bar has to travel to go down to hit the strings, they're usually pretty high on these 15 and 12 bar harps, and so you want to make that close or closer to the strings without touching them. So the way you do that is fill the ends between the cover and the bar with something squishy, like felt or foam, and that's part of the fun.
And furthermore, that's covering the up and down. We've got a back and forth problem over here. You might get them slipping back and forth, so what you can do is you can add some felt to the ends of the bars, and then they're not going to slide back and forth nearly as much.
Let's get our close-up camera in here.
Yes.
And because I came prepared, I'm going to take off this cover. There's 3 screws on each side. And you can and should try this at home. Just get a little cup or something to put all of your screws in so that you don't lose them.
And for the love of God, do not unscrew these screws. Asking for a friend.
Uh-oh. What happened?
A spring explosion.
Spring explosion, yes.
Yes. These springs are not on combs. They are in place through tension. So when you take simply the top of this off, the springs stay in place.
Sort of.
Cords are in place. Yeah, ish. But it's certainly better than if you take the whole section off and everything flies everywhere.
Okay, so there's that piece gone. Now I'm going to take this one off too, because they both have to come out. on these. We can run this faster.
Yeah, we can speed it.
Well, except if you are talking.
So maybe we won't do that.
Now, every one of these harps is different as far as the amount of space that you have underneath here for the bars to rattle around in. And not sure why that is, but auto harps are notorious for having different amount of space. See, this one doesn't have any space for the chord bar to shift back and forth. But if you look over at this harp, that means that there's a lot of space here at the ends, and that space is right here. At the end of the bars. Whoa. You know what? Let's fix that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to show you the difference between one harp and another. Okay. So, this harp, as you can see, it's got a lot of back and forth play. And that affects how the slots match up to the screws. And that back and forth play is okay as long as the slots will allow for it and they won't open up to the next string or close down on the string that you want open. And so in setting these up, in refelting them, you have to take all of that into account. But this space can be filled. And there's a couple of ways to do that. First of all, when you refelt a 15-bar harp, and that has not been done on this harp, and so this has not been done, and so it should have been. And that is that you see, first of all, on one of these bars, the felt has to go all the way to the end. And on this harp, it would have been good if it hung further out over the end so that it took up some of that wibble wobble space. And you can always adjust that with your razor knife. You know, you cut them too long, and then you cut them down, cut them down, cut them down until it's just right. You don't want it to be tight because you want it to ride up and down, but you don't want it to wiggle too far back and forth. But there's something else that you can do too. And they've done that here a little bit. I'm going to use this and try to lift it out so that you can see. They have inserted a little cardboard shim into the slot behind the spring. Can you see that right there? Cardboard shim sitting in the slot, and the spring goes in front of it. Now, this cardboard shim that they used is totally ineffectual because it's not thick enough. You can add a thicker shim by getting, say, a piece of paper and folding it a few times and adjusting how thick that shim is going to be. You can go with thicker cardboard. I like...
Wouldn't that push the spring forward?
Good question. Yes, it does. And you can go a certain amount forward before that becomes a problem. The way you cut the felt to overhang on the end, that's the best way to deal with that issue, because the spring goes underneath the felt. As a matter of fact, on this bar,
If you don't want to refelt the bar, can you just add felt to the ends?
I guess I've seen that done. it's hard to glue because it's a hole. The end of the bar is hollow, and so it's hard to attach a piece of felt on there effectively and have it stay. But if you refelt it and overhang it, this is something that you do when you refelt it, with some overhangs on the ends, you can see on this bar the little ring where the spring sits. It sits underneath the felt, and so the felt can go all the way out to the wall of the cord bar holder slot, and you can take up the slack. But unfortunately, that was not done on this harp, and so it creates this wibble wobble problem. I like this cardboard. This cardboard that's on the back of an old pad of paper. You can cut that, and you've got infinite amount of shimming material here. Just cut a strip, and then cut them, about 3/4 of an inch long, and slide them in, and that should take up some of it. Plus, with the cardboard tucked in there at the ends, or the felt running to the ends, it means that you have padding on the end, and that silences all this wibble wobble rattle rattle sound. Make sense?
It does.
So it's really ideal to have that, but sometimes these cord bar holders have been installed too close in to accommodate for any overlap. So then you've got another issue, and we're not going to get into that. That involves moving the cord bars out, and you don't really want to do that either. The idea is to have as few unpadded surfaces on the ends and on the tops to avoid the rattle bang.
And what sort of felt would we use if we were refelting?
Good question. When you refelt your B model autoharp, like a 12 or 15 bar, you're going to use 1/4 inch felt, 1/4 inch wide, 1/4 inch tall. 3/16 is the width for a 21 cord, and 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch is what you put on a 15 cord or a 12 cord, and it makes a huge difference in how it plays. But extend it off the ends of the cord bars, and you won't have these problems if you have room to do that. I also wanted to show you the inside of the cover has a rubber strip. Now, if it's foam and it's still good, it might be enough to silence the bang, bang, bang of the cord bars coming up, the clackies. But if it's rubber, it's not going to be enough because the rubber doesn't protrude down into the slot, because you've got a slot wall and a slot wall and a slot wall and a slot wall, and that rubber is going like this over the tops of the walls, and it doesn't go down into the slot, and it just gets compressed up at the top, and it's like a hard surface that it can go bang, bang, bang. And so you want to do what I did on this other harp. So let me show you that now. I hope that you can see this. It would be great if these were white so that you could see them. I've got a felt square. This was sticky back felt, which you can get. The craft stores are your friend when it comes to working on auto harps, because you want a felt or foam square to go on the top of each cord bar down here at the end, so that when it comes back up, that soft pad hits the inside of the lid in such a way that it's less audible to your ear.
And why is there only felt on one end?
Okay, I originally put felt on the other end too, but the fat strings stand up taller, and when I put the felt on, then when I put the felt on the end here, it pushed this down, And when it pushes that down, if it pushes it down so far that it's closing off the fat strings because it's touching the felt strings, then you have to take it off, and you can only have it on this end. But it's bringing your playing surface, your felt, closer to the string, which means you push down less distance when you push, which makes it easier to play. And then when it comes back up, it doesn't go bang, bang, bang. And yes, it has less distance to come back up on this side, so there's less bang. That's the idea. And so it's not ideal. It's better to have it on this end, but that's going to depend on how high the strings are and how thick your felt is. And it's different from harp to harp because they install these pins differently, and that pin affects how high the string rides above the soundboard, and that affects this. Everything affects everything else on the auto harps. And I find that I can't pre-plan everything that I'm going to do to a harp, and I have to be willing to undo some things that I've done because I don't know it's going to be a problem, because I put it on here and then I put this on and I screwed it down, and this end was completely against the strings, and so there just wasn't enough wiggle room. And I could have found something thinner, but I didn't have anything thinner, and so this worked out pretty well. Okay, so let's put the harp back together here, and I'm going to show you the difference between, well, what a B model is and what an A model is and what a C model is. So we're going to talk about the different kinds of models of auto harp really quick, and just in general terms, because there were a lot of divisions within these different models. But let's start with what's an A model auto harp, and you'll need to know this. An A model auto harp has the strings wrap around the end and they go onto pins like that. Just in a nutshell, that's what an A model harp is. This was the first design that came out. This particular one is special because it's solid gold. And if you want to make a solid gold recording, you want to use one of these. No, this was like a special limited edition. That was, I don't know, probably an anniversary edition or something. And very few of them made. It's gold, it's painted gold. Otherwise, it's just one of the old black auto harps. And I didn't tune this one when I got it down to show you. It's staying in tune pretty well. Twangy. And that was a characteristic of that old time sound. No, it's not for sale. This one is it's special. We keep it here, so we have just an old vintage that's in really good shape, so that we can show it and let people hear it. But A model, back in the 1960s, the Oscar Schmidt Corporation was sold to Glenn Peterson and Meg Peterson. Meg Peterson is the woman who wrote all the auto harp method books, and they redesigned the auto harp because they wanted to make a better quality product, and they did. And they came out with what was called the B model, and the original B models had 12 bars, and that's this. And the difference was that the strings no longer wrapped around the end and went on a hitch pin on the end. They rode in slots in an aluminum anchor, and that is a B model auto harp. First the 12, and then they said, hey, let's add 3 more, and people will have 15, and then they'll be able to play every single song ever written, because you'll have 15 chord bars, and who needs more than that, right? And
I do.
So, a little bit later in history, actually just a year or two later, I think, pretty soon afterwards, they came out with the 21 bar, and those bars are called C model bars. And that's why you get numbers like the OS 21C or the OS 45C. It means it's a 21 chord. Got one of those right here. Ba, ba, ba. You know this. So the body is a B model body. This is what's confusing about the 21 chord. But the bars are C model bars. And so sometimes you'll see that when you're ordering, like you'll see, do you need B model felt or C model felt? What's a C model? They're talking about the bars themselves. The body is still B model, so you need B model strings because they ride in the anchor, you know, but you need C model felt and C model buttons and C model springs for the chord bar assembly. So that's what's going on with that B versus C. And then sometimes you'll see the letter E after it, like the OS 45CE. And the E stands for electric, which means it's got a jack that you can plug in the side of the harp and be all electric and everything. So that's the difference.
Yeah,
We got it covered?
I'd say so.
Any questions? If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments. And if you need lessons, you can talk to me at my website, halweeks.com, and I can meet with you through Zoom. Or you can talk to Mel.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram as Harping Mel. If you want to see a lot of songs that you wouldn't normally expect on an auto harp, and you want to play some songs that are fun, let me know. I love playing Paper Planes by MIA, some Blink-182, some Ramones, you know, just different things. I want to help you play whatever it is that you like to play. So, yeah, hit me up.
We'll see you next time on Stalking the Wild Auto Harp.